So,
Buttons on a balloon and you get a big bang.
What?
so buttons on a balloon.
And you get a big bang? Who
Yeah.
says that?
Was that never said to you in your life?
Is this like one of
No.
your Minnesota phrases?
Maybe this is like
Mm.
why sometimes we need to write memoirs. Because we think
Oh.
this is like a thing that's in our lives, that's in everybody's life. And
Is
then we
that what
better
we're gonna
explain
do
that.
today? We're gonna talk about memoirs.
I think
I
so.
think
Oh,
so.
Are we
okay.
doing first page critiques?
Yay! Welcome to our first page critique. I'm Morgan.
This is Molly.
And I'm Teresa.
And your first pages make a big bang in our lives. So we love to read them, revise them, edit them, and we follow the even better if model where Teresa, tell them what that is.
We sew buttons on a balloon? No.
We
We
make them pop. I don't know.
no, what we do is we offer positive advice about what we really enjoyed about your first page, and then we offer a couple of suggestions that would make your story even better if.
So it actually would pop. And today I'm going to get to read a memoir about popping into the world.
I'm excited.
You're welcome, Molly.
I love it. I love it. Let's go. You ready?
Yes. Lights, camera, action. I took a non traditional approach when I entered the world. Passing through the birth canal, my umbilical cord emerged first, with me following behind. My head trapped the cord against my mother's uterus, cutting off the oxygen flow to my brain. Much like pinching off a garden hose stops the flow of water. When you're deprived of a little oxygen while being born, there's likely to be some brain damage. A few seconds without life sustaining gas would have meant a more serious disability, or even death. Mom went into labor when she and Dad were at Lake Elsinore drop-off zone with their skydiving friends. One of Dad's buddies stayed straight off course, and he came in for a jump. Dad lurched across the field in his Jeep to retrieve their wayward friend. It was on that ride that Mom felt the first pains of labor. And after retrieving the skydiver, they decided to go to the closest hospital. It was a small and staffed with one elderly doctor. And after examining my mom and me, the physician told my parents about the wandering umbilical cord. He said another doctor was coming to help. The newly formed medical duo decided they would turn me around inside my unconscious mother. I came out feet first, with that pesky cord trailing behind. Dad told me he wasn't worried about me because he didn't know me yet. He was only concerned about Mom because he didn't want to lose his beautiful wife. My skin was blue, and I had spasms all over my body. I spent the first couple of 24 hours in an incubator, and the doctor sent me home a couple of days later. He told my parents I was healthy. A year went by before my parents suspected a problem.
Ooh, nice hook on the end. I mean, that's like perfect, like, I'm gonna turn the page and figure out what the problem was. Nice job.
I like how it starts at the beginning. I like the adventure of the skydiving, like juxtaposed with the stakes of the mother almost dying. And I think it's really interesting how we have stakes and duress and concern for an unborn baby right at the very beginning. So I'm already like I'm thinking about Save Blake Snyder's Save the Cat, right? I'm already feeling for this character. I'm already worried about this character. I'm very worried about Mom too. So I think it did a good job getting me emotionally invested. And I think in memoir, that's a particularly tricky genre to do that in.
I agree. I agree. I actually like some of the details a lot in this one. I like the Lake Elsinore drop zone. I live in Temecula, so I actually know exactly what you're talking about. I've driven by there when the skydivers are coming down, and it made me really be like, oh my God, I knew that. So I loved that detail. That was great.
I really love the voice in this piece. You know, voice can be such a difficult thing. It can be kind of this nebulous term that we use, but I really love it here. I thought it was approachable, and it could definitely be one of those books where you're reading and you just get sucked in and it's effortless, right? And you don't even notice that time is passing you by, and suddenly you've read 5 chapters or, the whole thing. So I really thought that was well done.
Teresa, why don't you start us off with even better if?
All right, my even better if is going to be a little bit of kind of some detail that I found confusing. Second sentence, it says, passing through the birth canal, my umbilical cord emerged first with me following behind. No problem there, except that when this person came out in the third paragraph, it says, I came out feet first with that pesky cord trailing behind. I have a background in birth. I've attended many births. The cord stuff is very, very important. To me, this would be very jarring, and I'd be like, wait, what? So just double check some of these details a little bit.
Are they trying to say that the doctor, like the mom was unconscious, and so they literally stuck their hand and like shoved the baby back in and turned it?
I don't know. That's actually a really good question. Because that's another piece that I was a little hazy on. When is this? Lake Elsinore has grown up tremendously in the last 20 years. So, only having presumably a hospital with one doctor, how maybe this was quite a while ago. So, to Morgan's
I,
point, maybe they would do it that way, but
I kind of hope that it
modern.
is older because I feel like if it's a little older piece, like the Jeep would be more like rustic, and it would have like so maybe giving us the date at the beginning would like really enhance our ability to connect with it and to visually see and experience the world with less questions. So it could do we'd be doing less as we went, I
Yeah,
think.
and if you don't want to give the exact date, there are things that you can do with your details that could go and clue people into when it is. So like skydiving doesn't really clue people into the date, neither does Jeep. But if you had like the exact model of Jeep, that
Like
could.
a CJ5 or a CJ7. Yeah.
Yeah, something like there are little things like if you don't want to put an exact date, there are little details that you could put in here or there, either expanding on details that you already have or adding new ones that can clue people into what date or date range you're talking about.
Even
Yeah.
a song playing can help clue us in on the time, even if
Or
you're
just
taking a
naming
little
the
creative
artist,
liberty. Yeah.
or just naming the artist, like Beatles playing on the radio,
Hmm.
for example. For me, I'm going to also focus on those details. And my even better if is that if you think about it, Morgan talks really well about this often, which is, a scene is like you're looking at the world via a camera. And what is the camera focusing on? And for me, there's a lot of details, and the camera's focus is like kind of on different things all over the place, which could be fine. It could be fine. It's a little bit like at this point, it leaves me wondering like what is important and what is not. Is the story about skydiving actually important, or is it just important because that's when the mom went in labor? Is the detail about the newly formed medical duo like the things like that could be really, really important details, but I'm not sure yet because the camera seems to be like panning here, then there, then back again. So it's just leaving me at this point with a little bit of a sense of like, okay, what should I be focused on here? And maybe, you read 5, 10, 15 more pages and that evens out and you understand why all of these details are here and why all of them are super important.
Morgan.
Um, yeah, I agree with that. Knowing through how to carry the details through, and then also just the transitions. Head hopping is a common thing, like in fiction in third person, where you're moving from place to place. And I think it's a little bit hoppy-ish from the time we're in the hospital, we're back, or and just making sure that there's extra space on this, even just space on the page. So as we read, we can see, okay, we're going somewhere else. Just a little bit of help, so we don't feel whiplashed. Um, but my even better is going to be a very small point on figurative language. So I love figurative language and I love literary devices. I love similes and metaphors, and I think they can really enhance writing. But I feel perhaps in this particular case that the use of figurative language is not quite helping, that it's actually detracting. So let me be really specific. So, um, my issues happen, or my advice or my thoughts happen in the very, very, very first paragraph. So my head trapped the cord against my mother's uterus, cutting off the oxygen flow to the brain. That is such high stakes, and it's so fast, like scary, and I'm in it. And then all of a sudden, much like, and we get the simile, much like pinching off the garden hose stops the flow of water. But a brain of a baby is so much more important than water. I mean, I think it's an apt metaphor casually, but right now, as it's pulling me in, now I'm thinking about water and a garden hose instead of thinking about this poor baby. And then the next line kind of tells me what I already know, which is when you're deprived of a little oxygen while being born, there's likely to be some brain damage. And then I feel like, oh, do you not trust that I know that? Or is this written for somebody who doesn't understand? Because I feel like I understand that, and I feel like it kind of takes me away. So I might suggest a rewrite that sounds more like this. My head trapped the cord against my mother's uterus, cutting off the flow of oxygen to my brain. A few more seconds without the life sustaining gas would have meant a more serious disability or even death. Also, by saying a more serious disability, we know now what the problem is at the end. So you
Mm.
could just cut it so that it's more riveting and pulls us in more, and just say a few more seconds without oxygen would have meant death. And then the stakes are high. We know it's a really big deal. We're going to keep reading, and we're really worried about this baby. And
Yeah. It's good general advice. If you can push it, push it. So things like, more serious disability or even death. Let's just get right to the cut. Another, and not so much in this piece, but sometimes you hear things like they tried to remember. Well, no, they remembered. Let's just let's just cut the middleman out. It makes the writing so much stronger. So,
And
yes, ma'am.
I understand the thought behind it. You know, you're kind of foreshadowing here. I just think I'm with these ladies. Like, I think it's more powerful from a stakes perspective to just say death. And then, like, you're only foreshadowing down to the bottom of the page. You're not foreshadowing multiple chapters. You're not seemingly, right? We only have one page. But you're not setting up this elaborate long length foreshadow here. So I don't think you need it. I think you can just focus on boom, powerful stakes, first paragraph, knock it, knock the
I'm going to
reader
push,
over the head.
I'm going to push back a little. I don't think that's actually foreshadowing, because it specifically says a disability. So it's actually telling me. So I would say it's souring the turn. So the turn is that there's still a problem. Everything wasn't okay. And if you told me there's a disability, I already know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still foreshadowing because like it's it's foreshadowing that there will be a problem, that we're going to talk about a problem. But I do agree it taints that turn a little bit because you lull us into a false sense of security, right? Where we have a lot of tension. We're like, oh no, what's going to happen here? Oh, but they're okay. They're okay. The baby is okay. They live, and then a year went by before the problem, and then that turn is more impactful.
Okay. Anything else we want to add?
Thank you for sharing. I'm hopeful
It's
we'll get to
really
see
good.
the rest of your memoir, the rest of your story, um, and let us know if it's published somewhere or where it is in the publishing process, what you intend to do with it. And we love that we got to be a part of the story.
Thanks for sharing it with us. If you are interested in sharing your piece, go to www.semisagesofthepages.com, and we look forward to checking out your first pages.
And if there's
Thanks.
something you want to tell the author, make sure to leave a comment.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.